December had just begun, and the neighborhood felt alive in a way it hadn't in months. There was something about the arrival of winter that made everything seem magical. Children laughed as they played outside, their cheeks red from the cold air. Families carried boxes out of garages, each filled with ornaments, tangled strings of lights, and memories wrapped up in decorations that had been passed down from generation to generation. The entire street glowed with excitement. Houses were transforming into tiny winter wonderlands, each reflecting the spirit of its family. Ali's house, however, stood out among the rest. He had been planning his decorations for weeks. His children had helped untangle lights and hang ornaments, while his wife carefully set up the nativity scene near the porch. A huge inflatable Santa greeted anyone who walked by, and reindeer figures sparkled under the light of the street lamps. For Ali, this was not just decoration. It was tradition. It was joy. It was a way of telling his children, "This is your home. This is your childhood. And these are the memories you'll carry forever." On one cold evening, Ali stood proudly in his yard, watching the lights twinkle against the dark sky. His kids clapped their hands with excitement, their eyes wide with wonder. "Papa, it looks like magic," his youngest daughter whispered. Ali smiled, feeling a sense of satisfaction. "Yes, my love, this is what Christmas feels like. Magic." But not everyone saw it that way. From across the street, a shadowy figure watched. A man in a dark coat, holding a clipboard, snapped photographs of Ali's house. He didn't smile. He didn't admire the beauty. He only saw violations. This man was the HOA inspector, and for him, joy was secondary to rules. The next morning, Ali opened his front door and immediately noticed the paper taped to it. His heart sank before he even read it. He ripped it off and read the bold letters at the top. Violation notice, unapproved decorations. Remove immediately or face $500 fine. For a moment, Ali just stood there, staring at the words. His hands trembled slightly as anger and disbelief rose inside him. Unapproved decorations? It's Christmas, he shouted into the cold morning air. His wife came to the door, worry in her eyes. "What is it?" she asked softly. Ali handed her the paper. She read it and gasped. "They're calling our Christmas decorations illegal? The kids will be heartbroken." Ali crumpled the paper in his fist. "No, I won't let them ruin this. We're not removing anything. This is our home. This is our celebration. They can't take that away." But as the days passed, Ali realized he wasn't the only one. Sarah, their neighbor across the street, stood in her driveway with tears in her eyes. Ali walked over to ask what was wrong. She showed him her own violation notice. "They said my lights are not compliant," she explained. Ali frowned. "Not compliant? Why?" Sarah held up her decorations. Beautiful strings of red and green lights draped over her porch. "They said only standard white lights are allowed. They fined me $250. Ali shook his head in disbelief. "That's ridiculous. It's Christmas, Sarah, not a military camp." Further down the street, Mr. Khan was struggling to deflate his giant inflatable snowman. His kids stood nearby, their faces sad and disappointed. Ali approached him. "Mr. Khan, what happened?" Mr. Khan sighed heavily. "They fined me $300, said the snowman was too large and violated HOA standards. My kids loved it, but now it has to go." The children's eyes filled with tears as they watched their favorite decoration collapse into the ground. Another neighbor chimed in as she joined the group. "They told me I can't play Christmas music outside after 7 p.m. Said it counts as noise pollution." She waved her notice angrily. "We've lived here for 10 years, and never has anyone complained. But now, suddenly, joy is a violation." Ali looked around at the faces of his neighbors. He saw anger, sadness, frustration. He saw children being robbed of their happiness. He clenched his fists tighter. "This isn't management," he said loudly, his voice carrying through the cold air. "This is control. They're stealing our joy." His words struck a chord with the people around him. They nodded, murmured, and some even shouted in agreement. That evening, Ali gathered his neighbors in his yard. The glowing lights of his house illuminated their faces, casting a warm glow despite the chill in the air. He stood on his porch, looking out at the crowd that had formed. His voice was steady, passionate, filled with conviction. Look at these lights. Look at these decorations. Is this wrong? Is joy wrong? No. This is our tradition, our happiness, our way of bringing families together. But the HOA wants us to hide it. They want us to live in fear. But I say enough is enough. Are we going to let them take Christmas away from us? The crowd erupted in cheers. No, people shouted. We won't. Another neighbor raised her fist in the air. Let's fight back. The energy was undeniable. For the first time, the community felt united. Not just against the HOA, but for something bigger, for their right to live freely, to celebrate, to smile. The night of the HOA community meeting arrived. The hall was packed with residents, some clutching their violation notices, others whispering angrily to one another. At the front sat the HOA board, led by their president, a stern man with sharp eyes and a voice that demanded obedience. He banged his gavel against the wooden desk. Order! We will now address the issue of unauthorized decorations. The room grew tense. The president read from a sheet of paper. Colored lights are not permitted. Inflatables are not permitted. Loud music is not permitted. Rules are rules. His words echoed through the hall, cold and absolute. But before he could continue, murmurs of disapproval filled the air. Ali stood up slowly, his face calm but determined. His voice rang out strong. You call these decorations violations. I call them celebrations. Families wait all year for this moment. To laugh, to smile, to see joy in their children's eyes. You're not protecting us. You're destroying what makes us human. The crowd erupted in cheers. The president banged his gavel again, harder this time. Order. Sit down. These rules are final. But the people didn't sit down. Instead, they rose. A father shouted from the crowd, his voice breaking with emotion. My kids cried when I took the lights down. Is that the community you want? One where children cry because of your rules? The crowd murmured in agreement. A mother stood, tears streaming down her face. You can't tell us how to celebrate our traditions. You don't own our joy. The chants began, soft at first, then louder. Fair rules, fair rules, fair rules. The sound filled the hall, overpowering the president's gavel. Ali raised his hand and shouted, We demand a vote, right here, right now. One by one, hands went up. First a few, then dozens, then nearly everyone in the room. The HOA president looked around in shock. His face turned pale as he realized he had lost control. For the first time, the people were no longer afraid. The next evening, the neighborhood looked brighter than ever before. Every house glowed with lights of every color. Music played softly, laughter filled the streets, and children ran freely from yard to yard. Sarah smiled as she watched her children dance under the glow of their red and green lights. Mr. Khan laughed with relief as his inflatable snowman once again stood proudly in his yard, his children hugging it with joy. Ali stood with his wife and children, his heart swelling with pride as he looked at the glowing neighborhood around him. His wife squeezed his hand and whispered, You saved Christmas for everyone. Ali shook his head with a smile. No, we all saved it. Together. The narrator's voice closed the story. Rules can guide us, but when rules destroy happiness, they must be challenged. Sometimes it takes one voice, one act of courage, to bring people together. In this neighborhood, Christmas was saved, not by rules, but by unity. The camera slowly panned upward, showing the entire neighborhood shining brightly in the night sky. Music swelled, hopeful, uplifting, victorious. Bold words appeared across the screen. Asterisk HOA tried to cancel Christmas, but the people fought back. Asterisk.